Brazilian falls on Rinjani. Brazilian tourist trapped 3 days inside Indonesia's active volcano after 1,000 feet Mount Rinjani fall. Rescue teams in Indonesia are urgently trying to save Juliana Marins, a 26-year-old Brazilian pole dancer and publicist, after she slipped and fell approximately 1,000 feet while hiking Mount Rinjani, the country's second highest volcano. Now let's get into the story in detail on this AI podcast.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at a really harrowing story unfolding right now on Mount Rinjani in Indonesia.
Yeah, it involves a young Brazilian woman, Juliana Marins. She's a publicist, also a professional pole dancer, 26 years old.
And she's missing after what sounds like a terrifying fall, nearly 1,000 feet.
It's a huge drop.
So, our goal today is to unpack this. We'll look at her solo trip, the massive challenges the rescue teams are facing, and something else too, misinformation.
Right, how false reports are complicating an already desperate situation. We're drawing this all from the sources you've shared.
Okay, so let's set the scene a bit. Juliana started this solo backpacking trip across Asia back in February.
And she was documenting it all on social media like many travelers do.
Her latest stop was Mount Rinjani. Now, this isn't just some hill. It's Indonesia's second highest volcano.
Famous for its beauty, the crater lake, Sagara Anak. But also really known for its tough trails. It's a serious climb.
Definitely. So the incident happened early Friday morning, June 21st. She was heading up towards an area called Samara Tunggal.
Which is known for being particularly exposed and steep. Right?
Exactly. Her guide noticed she was tired, told her to rest up. He went on for a bit with some other tourists.
Standard procedure sometimes. You wait for slower members.
But when he got back to check on her, she was gone.
Vanished.
Then, hikers heard screams. She'd been spotted way down in a ravine. The estimate is 984 feet. Just incredible.
Almost 1,000 feet down. And there was drone footage early on.
Yeah, quite stark footage. It showed her huddled alone on the rocky terrain, visibly distressed but alive. Just seeing that, wow. But getting to her immediately proved really, really difficult. Why was that?
Well, this is crucial. The rescue efforts kicked off that Friday afternoon, but they immediately ran into massive obstacles.
Like what specifically?
Think dense fog, really low temperatures, and the terrain itself is just incredibly dangerous, super steep.
So rappelling down was the only option.
Pretty much. But here's the kicker. Limited rope length. They physically didn't have ropes long enough to reach that depth safely, especially with the minimal visibility.
Ah, so they knew roughly where she was from the drone, but couldn't actually get to her.
Exactly. It wasn't just a small delay. It was a fundamental technical block right from the start. A critical bottleneck.
Turning it into this awful waiting game, and then things got worse.
They did. By Sunday morning, that's 2 days later, they lost visual contact.
Completely.
Yarmin, who's the head of the Mount Rinjani National Park, confirmed it. Drone images showed she wasn't in that initial spot anymore.
Oh no. So where did the search shift?
Deeper, towards the Sagara Anak Lake region, which is a much larger, more complex area to search.
And compounding all this awful situation on the ground, was this other issue, the misinformation.
Yeah, false reports started spreading online, claiming she'd actually been rescued.
How did that impact things? That must have been devastating for the family.
Absolutely devastating. You can only imagine. Juliana's sister, Mariana, had to come out publicly and refute these claims.
She called the footage fake.
Explicitly. She said the rescue footage people were sharing was fake, and she clarified the grim reality. Rescuers hadn't even managed to get supplies to Juliana. Why? Extreme conditions and insufficient equipment, particularly, again, the lack of long enough ropes.
So Mariana said, "We celebrated when we saw the video. The reality is much more serious." Just heartbreaking.
It really is. And it highlights, how in these remote crises, the information vacuum gets filled so quickly, often with unverified stuff. People are desperate for updates.
And that can be dangerous in itself.
Definitely. It affects the family's emotional state, obviously, but it could potentially confuse rescue efforts, too. And this is all happening on Rinjani, which is inherently risky.
You mentioned that earlier. It's over 12,000 feet high.
Right. Unpredictable weather, sheer drops, narrow paths. It's a place that demands experience and proper support. This really underscores the risks involved in solo adventure travel in these kinds of environments.
So where do things stand now, as of Monday the 24th?
Rescue teams are still out there. They're continuing the search in what are being described as increasingly risky conditions.
Indonesia's disaster authorities are involved, the Brazilian embassy too. Everyone's monitoring closely.
It's truly become a race against time.
Yeah. This deep dive really just lays bare how complex and urgent everything is. There's hope, but the realities facing the rescuers and Juliana's family are just stark.
It makes you think, doesn't it? In our world, where information travels instantly, how does a crisis like this get amplified or even twisted by unverified content spreading like wildfire?
Yeah.
What does that say about our responsibility, when we share or consume news, especially when someone's life
Do
hangs
you
in the
think
balance?
influencers
Something
and
to
solo
really
travelers often underestimate the dangers of remote hikes for the sake of content? Don't forget to comment it. Thanks.